It's happening, people. The Dominican Republic is about to go stratospheric after the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited down here in DR. Some big news. If you've been thinking about whether or not you should invest in DR, or really if DR's economy environment is really going to take off, this is the video for you. I'm going to break down 3 topics from their joint press conference, tell you what I heard and what I didn't hear around oil production, the border with Haiti, and the industry the United States is investing millions in to develop here in the Dominican Republic. If you want some deeper thoughts on this topic, go down to the caption and subscribe to my weekly Gruber Nation newsletter, and I'll send stuff to your inbox that's of high value every single Thursday. Let's dive in.
But one country that I think probably doesn't get its due is the Dominican Republic. We're going to be doing a deeper look down there at investment opportunities. And it is actually one of the wealthier countries in that region. I think people often get that confused. It's next to Haiti, which is obviously a basket case at this point. But I think there's opportunities for property there. I think that's probably more in line with like what I mentioned, like in Georgia, where it's kind of an investment and kind of a lifestyle opportunity. I often don't like to mix those things. I say invest for investment's sake. Invest in Cambodia, live in Malaysia, where your property probably won't go up much for 10 years, if not more. But the DR, I think, is an interesting place. I want to explore it more. I think there's opportunities. It is tax-friendly for people who do business worldwide.
That was Andrew Henderson, better known as the Nomad Capitalist, one of the most respected names in the world for analyzing and discovering the right places for expats to go. And he named the Dominican Republic one of 5 frontier markets that he's looking at this year. And I'm going to show you why in just a few minutes. In terms of the U.S. Secretary of State and the Dominican Republic President meeting, one big topic on the agenda was Haiti. The President described some of the issues that are happening right now with the spillover from Haiti, including some really crazy numbers. 6.5% of all students in the Dominican Republic are Haitian migrants, and 34% of deliveries in hospitals right now in the whole country are also from Haitian migrants. That's a crisis. That's an issue at the border. Now, there are a little over 380 police from Kenya on the ground supporting the Haitian troops and Haitian police. The airport did recently open in Port-au-Prince, and there's been $300 million in support from the United States, with an announced $45 million additional dollars coming in to aid Haiti. But I'm still not convinced that the international community is there to truly support the Dominican Republic, and I'll explain why that's important after we watch this clip.
As the President mentioned, we discussed the situation in Haiti, whose ongoing insecurity concerns not only the Haitian people, but also, of course, its neighbors here in the Dominican Republic and across the hemisphere. In Port-au-Prince yesterday, as we've had an opportunity to discuss, I reaffirmed the United States' commitment to the multinational security support mission, as well as to broader efforts to promote peace and prosperity in Haiti. Today, I thank the President for his vital work to mobilize the international community to do more for Haiti.
So that sounds great. The President's been rallying international support, and it's vital for the United States and other countries in the region to get involved. Then he said this in response to a reporter's question who asked, what else can the Dominican Republic do for Haiti?
This has been a long-standing challenge. Many years, indeed, many decades. And precisely because of that, I don't think anyone can minimize the magnitude of the challenge. But I also think we can't minimize the importance of addressing it, and addressing it together, because of the impact that it has, first and foremost, on the Haitian people, who deserve better, but also because of the impact that it has throughout our hemisphere, in the Dominican Republic, as you heard from the President, in the United States, and in many other countries. And I think there is a growing collective will to try to effectively do something about it. Countries throughout this region came together in Jamaica a few months ago, with the United States, with CARICOM, with other interested countries. And together we supported a Haitian-conceived and Haitian-led transition. We have a commitment from countries quite literally around the world to help Haiti find security, to take security back from the gangs, and to put it in the hands of the state and of the Haitian people. And again, just in the space of a few short months now, we have the deployment of the Kenyan contingent, and I again want to thank President Ruto in Kenya for standing up. We now have about 383, I think, as of yesterday, Kenyans working to support the work of the Haitian National Police. We have a number of other countries in the region and beyond, from Jamaica to El Salvador, to Canada, to countries outside of the hemisphere, all of whom are standing up with financial resources, personnel, equipment for this mission.
So it's great to hear about the international support. In fact, Belize recently sent some people, some resources to support this multinational community that's supporting Haiti right now. But 383 Kenyan police officers to try to take over gangs that took over a city, plus thousands of prisoners that were released. And then the language that really hit me was this: I think there is a growing collective will to try to do something. I think growing try. That doesn't give me confidence that there's this sort of we're all in and making sure Haiti is taken care of and all set so that the Dominican isn't burdened with all of what needs to be done, from deportations to securing the border and so on and so forth. The world wants to see Haiti propped up, I get it, but then they're pointing at the Dominican Republic and saying, well, why aren't you doing more? Meanwhile, a third of births in the country are Haitians. There's a lot of resource going into the migrant issue. This isn't about I hate Haiti or Haiti's bad or Haiti's evil. Some people believe that. I don't. They happen to be born there. I happen to be born in the United States. You might have been born in the Dominican Republic. God make that decision. I don't hate on any people, but there are borders for a reason, which takes me to the Amnesty International thing. I'm so sick and tired of Amnesty International repledging this idea that Dominican policy is racist. Many people chirp at me and say,
oh, you're saying Dominicans aren't racist toward Haitians?
Like, nope. Never said that. Racism exists everywhere. Classism, sexism, it exists. We're human beings. We have biases. There are people that are racist toward Haitians that are Dominican. Some Dominicans don't want to believe that. They want to see it as,
oh no, Dominicans are friendly to everybody, da-da-da-da.
Sure, but there is racism toward Haitians. But the policy of saying this different culture, this different set of ideals, this different language, pouring over the border is not sustainable for a society. The Dominican Republic is doing great, but it's not at the point of having so much money laying around from taxpayer dollars to support this kind of migrant influx. So if Amnesty wants to call policy racist, Amnesty has to get a clue. The policy is simply secure the border. It happens to be Haitians. They happen to be dark-skinned people. Are there racist people at the border on the Dominican side enforcing these laws? I'm sure there are, but the policy is not. And if the world wants the Dominican to do something different, then I think there's a growing collective to try to do something. Ain't enough. DR's got to do what it's got to do in order to defend its border. Now, there's an industry that was talked about and this investment was made. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But before I do, the second topic that came up was oil. And here's the deal. In the Dominican Republic for a long time, there's been the discussion about oil, how it exists, but it's not drillable. It's not something that can be utilized. Recently, there's been some news about feasibility of studying certain oil basins that have been found or studied to say,
hey, maybe the Dominican is an oil-rich enough nation where it can be drilled, can be harvested,
and so on. Listen to what President Abinader said when he was asked about Venezuela.
And it has become the seventh economy of Latin America in the last few years without having oil, without having any hydrocarbons, but with an administration that works in favor of its people with transparency and respecting democracy and human rights. We don't have oil, but our economy is greater than Venezuela's now.
Look, here's the thing about the Dominican Republic that I've learned. If it's coming, even if it's 20 years from now, the Dominican government has no issue announcing it now to get people excited about the future. This is the train system going around the country, starting with Santo Domingo to Punta Cana. This is the expansion of airports. Some of these things are happening. Some, like the highway system, happened. It took years and years, but it was announced so long ago because there was progress toward it. If there was a chance that the Dominican Republic had the ability to drill oil, it would have been stated. Instead, Abinader's words were very careful. We don't have oil. When he says those words, that means there ain't no oil. Now, here's what else was interesting in terms of oil and the Dominican Republic. Venezuela recently threatened DR, saying,
hey, we have the oil, so keep screwing with us, see what happens.
The implication being that they'll cut off supply to DR of oil. Well, here's the truth. The Dominican Republic actually whittled down their usage of Venezuelan oil, eliminating it completely in 2024. In fact, 95% of the oil that comes into the country comes from the United States. And the two presidential candidates, Trump and Harris, have both affirmed a commitment, at least verbally, to production of oil, fracking, and so on. In fact, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the United States, Canada, and Mexico combined are net exporters of oil around the world, meaning we have enough oil for ourselves, for the entire hemisphere, without ever having to go elsewhere for it. It's just a matter of, do they want to drill as much as it would take in order to become completely hemispherically oil independent? But Venezuela is not going to impact the Dominican Republic with oil. The only way Venezuela impacts DR is how they impact the rest of the world. If they restrict supply, because they do have a lot, then there's less oil in the world, therefore prices everywhere go up. But again, the solution may just be the US needs to get more aggressive with drilling. Not everybody likes that, but It's just an A to B logic conclusion. On this topic as well, recently the Dominican Republic was in Saudi Arabia talking about increasing the amount of tourism from Saudi Arabia into DR and building a partnership there, maybe bigger than what's been there before. Saudi Arabia, they may have oil too. All right, now here's the big news. This is the part that's going to take the Dominican from where it is to where it's going. I've been convinced of it, and this press conference did nothing but affirm that belief that I have that this is going to be huge.
We're building on this work by launching a new initiative between 3 U.S. and Dominican universities, which will provide Dominican college students cutting-edge skills to succeed in the semiconductor industry, making microchips that are the building blocks of the 21st century economy. I'm also announcing the first phase of a supply chain investment through USAID, an initial $3 million that will help the Dominican government improve its workforce training, build industrial parks, attract high-tech industries here to the Dominican Republic.
Listen to me here now and come back in a year or 2, 5 years, watch this video and you'll say,
Man, the gringo was right. Trust El Gringo once again.
Semiconductor development will become a major play here in the Dominican Republic in terms of driving economic growth, jobs, and much, much more. The commitment made by the United States is on 2 fronts. One is to educate Dominicans in the United States on the higher end of what it requires for you to have semiconductor production in a country. And then on top of that, educating the workforce on the lower end, the manual work that needs to be done in order to build microchips here in the country. That is a multifaceted approach, a multifaceted investment in the Dominican Republic. This will make the Dominican Republic a regional power in time as a semiconductor development location. It will not match what's happening in Mexico or what's happening in Costa Rica, not in the short term unless there's even more investment in the future. Costa Rica and Mexico have more infrastructure for this and they're already larger regional superpowers in terms of semiconductor development. However, never say never. The Dominican's on the up and up, and with Abinader recently committing via presidential decree to making semiconductor production a national priority, this will explode a lot. Many ask like, oh, is this gonna be a bunch of high-paying jobs? There'll be some, but not all. These will be lower wage jobs doing the production work, but they're jobs, and people want jobs here more than anything. They want the ability to work. And if you've got a good environment, benefits, maybe even a pension, I know that's not a big thing here, but it could be. Those sorts of things are really, really attractive and fuel confidence in the economy. Add on to that the zona francas, the tax-free, duty-free zones the Dominican Republic already has, including one being built right here behind the airport in Punta Cana, and it's ripe for explosion. As investors, when you're looking at what drives the value of property, what drives the value of my investment, things like this, that's what does it. Over the long haul, long-term investment from a superpower like the United States in something as important as semiconductor or microchip production, they're in everything. This mic, that camera, that light, all of it has microchips in it. So the production of microchips in the Dominican Republic, no matter how small we are compared to others, is such a vitally important step toward increasing the value of this economy, diversifying it away from tourism a little bit, and making the Dominican Republic an even bigger player in the region, maybe even the world. Now, if you're thinking about investing down here in the Dominican Republic, I can help you with finding a realtor. Drop down into the caption and you'll see a link to get a trusted realtor, somebody that I trust. It's really cool to see the folks that I've connected to these realtors starting to close on property, and they're so happy that they had somebody who knows the market and knows what they're doing. So feel free to click that link. Happy to connect you. Those realtors, of course, will pay me something, which helps me fund this channel and all of the content I create for you. Until the next one, folks.